What's going on, guys? Dan Pinkard here to share marketing tips and advice for photographers who want to learn more about marketing and book more clients. And today's video is going to be about drip email campaigns, specifically using Klaviyo. Klaviyo is a really powerful tool that allows you to set up automated email campaigns that really runs on autopilot, and you have very little oversight required so that people can be receiving emails on a consistent basis over the course of weeks or months or years even. And you don't have to be typing new weekly newsletter emails every single week or every single month, because we all know that's not going to actually happen. You might have good intentions where you think, I'm going to start doing email marketing, but it's hard to stay consistent with that. But if you set up a drip campaign in the beginning, it can keep running on autopilot for forever. So if you're not actually familiar with marketing, you might not know what a drip email campaign is. A drip email campaign is essentially an automated email sequence designed to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time. They allow you to engage with your audience consistently and strategically, guiding them through the customer journey from the initial inquiry to booking and beyond. Basically, that's kind of a very broad idea of what it is. Basically, a drip campaign is an email sequence where somebody joins your email list, and over a period of time, you're delivering specific emails that are pre-written to them based off of certain intervals that you decide when you're setting it up. So you might have, when somebody joins your email list, they might receive on day 1 the first email, on day 3 the second email, the day 7 the third email, so on and so forth. And so somebody might be receiving the day 22, the email number 6, the same time that somebody else is receiving day 1's email, the first welcome email that they get when they join your list. Because it's not based off of what email you're sending out right now, it's based off of where they are at in your kind of process in that drip campaign, and they just gradually work through it. So part of what makes drip campaigns so effective is you can segment your email list into different categories and be sending them the right emails over a period of time that's kind of building towards a specific action you want them to take. And the emails can be very specific to where those people are at and kind of who they are in relation to you and your business. So for example, if you kept it really basic, you could have segments like new leads, current clients, past clients, generic email subscribers. So they're just general categories where when somebody joins that specific segment of your email list, they start receiving a certain sequence of emails that are very strategically put together in a specific order and specific time intervals. So for example, if you have a new lead, somebody inquires, they fill out your form on your website, and they're interested in working with you, you can send them an email sequence that's meant to build trust with the goal of getting them to book with you. So that can be sharing work, sharing testimonials, sharing specific stories, things like that are really, really building that trust so that they will actually take the action of putting a deposit down and working with you. You might have a segment that is for current clients as well, one that is really meant to keep those people that have already booked with you, but you haven't actually done their photo shoot or their wedding yet. It keeps them excited about who you are, working with you, the fact that they hired somebody who's very talented and just a pleasant person to work with. It can be used to upsell more services, things like that. Just provide an overall good customer experience. You also could put past clients into a specific segment. So they receive an email sequence that asks for testimonials and tries to get them to refer other people and just stay on your mind, on their mind. So you stay on their mind over the next, year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So it's not just like they work with you and then they forget about you, but you can actually stay relevant to them. And then you can have one that's like just generic email subscribers. Maybe you have just a random helpful PDF, a lead magnet on your website. And when somebody signs up to get that, they enter your generic email list. They haven't really expressed interest in working with you. Maybe you're a wedding photographer and they don't actually have a wedding date yet. They're not actually engaged yet, but that's on their mind. They're thinking about it. So they're part of your generic email list. And this one might just share valuable information and establishes you as an expert in your field. So when the time comes to work with you, they're already going to know that you are a great person to reach out to. And they might even already have decided beforehand that they are going to work with you one day. So you can have different segments and really strategically use the drip campaign for each of these different categories of people. And you can get more detailed, you can get less detailed. Doesn't really matter, but this is the idea of it. Before you start your drip email campaign, before you even start working on creating one, you really want to put some thought into what your customer journey is. The people who work with you, the clients that you want to work with you, what are the stages that they go through? If you've read anything about marketing, or if you've listened to marketing podcasts or anything like that, you probably are familiar with the idea of a customer journey. The general consensus is it's got certain stages along the lines of awareness, consideration, decision, experience, and then something after the experience, like follow-up. And the whole idea is throughout each of these stages, people have different pain points, desires, motivations, things that they're thinking through. And so you have to talk to people differently as they are in these different stages. For example, somebody who doesn't know anything about you might be in the awareness stage. They've never heard of you before. They're really just trying to get a feel for who's out there as far as photographers go. And so they're in the awareness stage, and you just have to let them know, hey, I exist. I'm here. Pay attention to me. And then as people are working through that awareness stage, they might limit their who they're considering. And they might be looking at like 3 or 4 photographers. And so that's when you are in the consideration stage. They are trying to consider who they're going to work with. They're considering you and your services and what you offer, what sets you apart from other people. And then they enter the decision stage, which is when they really are making the decision. They're locking in with somebody. They're booking a photographer. And then you enter the experience stage, which is planning and actually following through with the photo shoot, delivering the photos, and then follow-up is after you work with them, kind of keeping in touch and doing all the things that are, post-client pieces of your business. So you really want to gain trust and initiate action, whatever action is appropriate for the stage that they're in each of these stages. So if they're in the awareness stage, you're going to want to gain trust, just like the minimal trust, just let them know, hey, I am a professional. I do this, and initiate action, which is actually reaching out to you or, clicking on your website and browsing through your website would be an action that you want to initiate, something you get them to do so that they move into the next step. When they're in the consideration stage, maybe that's a phone call that you want to initiate. Or just emailing back and forth. As they're working through this customer journey, you have to be thinking through where are they at? What are they thinking through? What are their pain points? What are their struggles? What is stressful to them? What do they want to achieve and accomplish? And you have to talk to them in a way that builds trust and initiates action based off of all of those things. So think about that as you're building out your drip campaign, because that's really important and that's what's going to make or break your campaign's effectiveness. So what is Klaviyo? And I apologize if I ever pronounce it Klaviyo, because that's what I called it for years before I realized that it's actually Klaviyo. I think it makes more sense being Klaviyo, but whatever. Their YouTube video on their actual channel says that it's Klaviyo. So Klaviyo is a platform that is designed to set up drip email campaigns and text messaging. You can also do that. We're not going to get into texts, but you can actually incorporate SMS messaging in your drip campaigns. And Klaviyo also has features like you can do lead forms to collect email addresses. You can do email blasts that aren't automated campaigns, but just you type out an email and send it out to your email lists, things like that. But for what we're talking about here, it is a drip email campaign program. So Klaviyo actually calls drip campaigns flows instead of drip campaigns. So just for terminology's sake, it is a system that you can use to set up email flows, automated email flows to send out to your, email list, the different segments of your email list. So go ahead and go to klaviyo.com and set up an account if you don't have one already. Follow the steps to set up your account, and then try to get familiar with the dashboard and kind of layout of everything. So as you look at the left side, you'll see there are a bunch of different tabs. You've got home, which it'll show you just generic analytics of how your campaigns and flows are doing. Campaigns, which are like the email blasts. So if you just type out an email like you're sending out a newsletter. Flows, which is what we're talking about, drip email campaigns. Sign up forms, which is for collecting contact information from people. Audience, you can see your email list and the different segments of your email list. Content, analytics, and conversations. Conversations has to do with like text messaging, if people respond to a text that you send in one of your campaigns, etc. So just get familiar with that. You can kind of look around, click through all of these and see what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and jump into flows here. And just for, I'm going to hide all of the flows that I have here, but we're going to start off just by creating a new flow. So go ahead and go over to the top right and click create flow. So it's going to start off by asking you what your goal for this flow is. For example, if you have an e-commerce website, you can connect your online store to Klaviyo and use it to turn abandoned carts into purchases. You can set it up to nurture email subscribers, build customer loyalty, encourage repeat purchases, things along those lines. So there's various different goals you can choose from. We're just going to do nurture subscribers because that's the idea of what we're using it for. So once you click on nurture subscribers, it'll have some templates that you can start off with. If you want to, you can create from scratch. I'm not going to do that. I think it's easier to start off with a template. Feel free, if it's easier for you to create from scratch, you can click on that. You can also, if you want to, make your own templates, which is over here in content and templates. But we're going to start off with just the standard welcome series template, which is a 3 email series, and it's just very basic, easy to understand, easy to work with. So obviously there's a name, tags, which if you want to categorize them so it's easier for you to stay organized in your system, I'd encourage you to do that. I'm really bad at that type of thing. And then you can do a trigger. So the trigger is basically what list or segment somebody is joining that starts them off on this flow, on this drip campaign. So you can choose any one of your email lists, which I've got a bunch of random ones here. So you can choose an email list that when somebody joins that, that's the trigger to start this flow. But go ahead and name it. I'm just going to do test flow and add a tag, add a trigger. I'm just going to leave it at newsletter and then go ahead and scroll down, click create flow. Now I think that Klaviyo's system or user interface is really intuitive and easy to understand, but just to go over it so as you're looking at it, it doesn't feel overwhelming if just in case it would. Up here, you have the initial trigger. So this is what is causing somebody to start off on this flow. And as you work your way down, this is the sequence of events that are happening. And people are going to work their way through all of these. So you can have emails that go out. You can actually add text messages as well. And you can have delays, a time delay. So these are time delays. These are the actual emails, the actions that are happening. So you can have an email that goes out, a text message that goes out. You can update somebody's profile in the system. You can do a webhook, which is basically to connect Klaviyo with another program. You can do an internal alert to let you know something has happened with this person. So there are some different actions that you can take. You can have time delays and you can have logical splits, conditional splits. So just as an example, I'm going to add a conditional split. It basically makes a branch and you can have a condition here where if something happens, they're going this direction, or if something else happens, they're going in this direction. And you can have separate flows that get really complicated depending on the actions that people are taking. So then you go through and you can open up one of the emails. So I'm just going to open this one here. Email 2. You can name the email. Status here is you can have draft, manual, or live. If it's manual, it basically gets put in a queue where you have to actually manually send it. If you have it as live, it will automatically go out to somebody who reaches that point in the flow. Then you've got performance. You can see details. Obviously, this is brand new, so there's nothing here, but you can see the performance of this email. You can create an A/B test if you want to create 2 different versions of the same email so that over the next year, you can collect data off of what was more effective? Was this subject or this subject more effective? Was this call to action or this call to action more effective? So you can do an A/B test. And then you can go ahead and edit things about the email, like the subject, sender, etc., and your actual email template. So if you click edit, it opens up the email editor, and you can do drag and drop. You can change the styles, spacing, and colors, and fonts, and all of that. So type out your email, change the buttons and the pictures and the text, whatever you want to change. And then you go ahead and go to preview and test. So you can kind of preview what it looks like. And then you can click send test if you want and type an email address. So that's my personal email. And click send. You definitely want to do this, especially as you're just getting started designing these emails, because sometimes the spacing or like things will look awkward. So you'll want to fix some things. So go ahead and send a test. And then when you're done, click save, and you can see more details about it. So you've got message content, you can see overview, recipient activity. Again, there's nothing here yet because this is brand new, but you can see kind of details about what happened. And then you can click done, and it takes you back to the flow. And so you basically just want to build out a system where, based off of your customers, your experience, what you're offering, the value that you can provide to people, it's working them through a series of emails and or texts to kind of get them to take some sort of action. And ultimately, you're trying to build trust, you're building loyalty, you're building some sort of awareness of who you are, why they should kind of trust you over another photographer, and eventually get them to become a paying client. That's the end goal. So you can get really, really complicated with these drip campaigns, or these flows as Klaviyo calls them, because you can do different conditional splits. You can have different actions that, based off of what somebody has done and a kind of an action that they have taken, whether it's clicking on your emails, submitting something on your website, visiting a specific page of your website, depending on what they've done, you can have it split off and send them different emails that maybe are tweaked just ever so slightly to be strategic to where they are at in your customer journey. Now, companies like Apple or Facebook or Google, they have systems where it's going to be so complicated that you would look at it and just be like, oh my gosh, this is insane. A small business, a photographer, is not going to want to get that complicated. You're going to want to have a few basic segments of your email list. And as people work through those segments, as they're kind of going along their customer journey, you're just going to have a few different, whether it's conditional splits, or you can have different flows set up where somebody might, one of the conditions, which you can have here, when you click on the trigger, you can have a condition or a profile filter here, so that only certain people get added to your list. And you can also have conditional splits where, let's look at this conditional split. For example, if somebody is or is not on a list. So if somebody joins a different list, you can actually put a condition where if they are on a list, do not send them any more emails. And it's so for example, if I say someone is or is not on a list, is in list photographers. So if they are on this list, and click save. So if they are on the list in photographers, then yes, they keep getting these emails. If they are not, then no, they're not going to keep getting these emails. So you can set up different conditions like that, so that when somebody joins your current clients list, for example, they're no longer receiving the emails that are trying to get them to become a client. And when they finish working with you, where now they're a past client, they're no longer getting the emails of current clients who you're trying to upsell services and things like that. So you can be really smart about and strategic about how you set all of this up. So it's going to take some mapping out. You can even use a whiteboard if you want to before you actually go into Klaviyo and set it all up here. And or if you work better on paper, just map everything out, sketch it out. You can cross stuff out as you want to, or whatever. Make it as complicated as you want. But this is the gist of it. This is how drip campaigns work. This is how Klaviyo works. If you have any questions about Klaviyo or about email marketing, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know. I'd be more than happy to, whether it's answering it in the comments or actually making another video explaining in more detail how to write an effective email or how to set something specific up in Klaviyo, things like that. If you like this video, if you want more marketing and business advice as a photographer, then go ahead and subscribe and like this video just so I know it was helpful and can keep making more content like it. Thanks so much, and see you guys in the next video.